Yeah, everyone, this is Thermites, and this is Battle Angel Alita, Mars Chronicle, Volume 7. Really excited to get into this. And I am very aware of how privileged in a sense I am to have caught up while, a couple of these chapters were already out in Japan. So, the time it took between me catching up with all of the, Alita manga that had been out to then, waiting for this volume to come out isn't as long as a lot of other people who are waiting for this volume. The next volume is going to be the real waiting game. Especially since at the end of last volume, I was pretty satisfied. We had gotten this big climactic conclusion. We had finally finished the Baron Muster saga. We know where Alita came from. Not that I'm ever that fussed with a lot of origins for characters, but for Alita, so much of her character has been her identity, and to have a clear this is physically where the cells in her body came from. We know the earliest origins of her existence as far as we know. Unless we get into reincarnation or something, then we can't go much further than the genesis of her brain. So I'm really excited to see where we go from here. Because also, how do I put this? I feel for the last bit, I assumed Mars Chronicle was going to be the story of how she becomes a Panzerkünstler. And we've been doing a lot of that, and I don't know if we're going to get to that within the next 50 years. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but the series has been very, very focused on just the journey, just Erika and Yoko's journey, and I'm completely into that. I'm just I don't know what to guess here, because the only guess I feel I can make is this is where they become Panzerkünstlers. But I feel in my heart, there's no way they're going to get to that until, Volume 10 at the very least. I'm predicting, this has got to be, another side tangent thing. And then this will, eventually lead to them being picked up and becoming Panzerkünstlers. And then, even then, I don't quite know what we'll do. Because, we could just, go through then the stuff that we saw in Last Order. And, the flashes we got in the original series. We could just go through it all chronologically. But then we also have, the present day plots with Yoko, or sorry, I should say Alita and Erika and the zombie soldiers and whatnot. That all still needs to happen. And in any other narrative, I would say that we would be cutting between those two plot lines. But we kind of just got that in Volume 2, I think, and then we haven't really gone back. So if we might just chronologically go through everything and then hard cuts to there, and then we'll see how it all ties in together. It really depends. It really depends on how, those factions, and the Neo Third Reich and all that, how that connects to, who the Panzerkünstlers originally were. Because we don't even know that much about them. We'll see. I reread the whole, all of Mars Chronicle beforehand, just to, refresh my memory, just in case we start to get into the, future stuff. But, I don't know. I really don't think we're gonna get into that. Anyways, enough preamble. We've got the cover here. I assume they're just pranking whoever this is. And then I assume this is the same person as this person. They prank her, and then she beats them up, it ties them both to this pole. Seems like we have an entirely new, refugee setting, perhaps. Or it could just be, a city. But, specifically because these two are here, I'm guessing that... but they're not, an orphanage setting or anything. So this might just be, I don't know how I would put it. I guess my guess is they're just hiding here. They're not officially being taken here by anyone. They are just, trying to live in this city, and we'll get sort of, vibes of, living in... I think we'll get vibes of living in the scrapyard, but without it being literally the scrapyard. I'm really curious to see if that happens. We do have cyborgs and stuff, but the level of, dystopian cyborgification in the series is a lot less. And so I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out. Also, I don't remember if I said this last reaction, but I do think that, the treasure of Mars, the thing that Baron Muster obtained and then realized, oh, this is not going to help me. This will not, solve the problem on my body. I assume that's going to be the root of Methuselification, but I doubt we'll get that in this series. Just because I don't quite remember the timeline, but it's got to be a while before that gets released to the world anyways. So, we'll see. Oh yeah, I forgot that we ended the last volume with, or I didn't forget it, but I forgot to mention it. that, of course, the rampage of the Ethnarch led to this like long winter of Sidonia. Like we did kind of leave a very apocalyptic scenario already. So are the girls like part of this like group that's fleeing the area and being moved into like other cities that are willing to take in those people? Or is this just a separate, like, they escaped and, found somewhere else to live? Ooh, that's really cool. Like, yeah, I really do love the aesthetic of this being, like, not just a civilization within, like, the hulk of a spaceship, but specifically, like, taking apart the spaceship and, like, remodeling it into a city. It's a really good aesthetic. It does have kind of scrapyard energy, like, since I brought that up so early on. The difference being that the scrapyard is more of a, like, you've got all the junk in the middle, and then that stuff is scavenged in order to, like, create everything else. Whereas this is a fundamental, like, there's people living in all of this space, and some of it may be transformed to make it more habitable, but it's still, like, they're still using the main structure. And, like, it isn't necessarily cast-offs and junk and stuff. Like, there's probably a lot of useful stuff here that, could still be used. Like, the thing I'm most curious about looking at this is the thrusters. Like, are they still hooked up to anything? Could you activate those? Like, could you push the entire city? Or, like, yeah, you wouldn't be able to push the entire city, because I assume, like, a lot of this is no longer, like, connected in the same way. But then, like, could this be a doomsday device? Like, could you turn on the thrusters and then have them, like, smash into the city and just, like, crush through it? Was this a prank? I guess it was a prank. Oh, is that our girls? Huh. So, like, are they, like, infiltrating this place for someone? Because, like, this seems so very planned out. This doesn't seem like they're doing it, like, on the spur of the moment. So, I don't know, like, they've gone through a lot at this point. Maybe they are just that good. This is the perfect panel to be getting back into this. Like, I do love the consistent thing of both of them hating Bemite, and specifically Erica, like, even in situations where she can get stuff that isn't Bemite, she still will eat the Bemite, and then she will still think it's super gross, but she won't stop eating it. Okay, so they are infiltrating. Okay, little Kurt Russell. Okay, so what is this? What are they looking for? Okay, so it was still this. Like, I wasn't sure. I did see this, but I wasn't sure if, like, this is what they were doing right now, or... Actually, no. This is not what they're doing right now, right? This has to be them... I should probably just read the panel, shouldn't I? Okay, yeah. So, they followed those instructions, went to the people who are now giving them this mission. Sorry, I really just jumped onto that. I gotta slow down a little bit. So did they tell them just to go to the city in order to find Coin the Kaufman? Aw, this is so cute. So glad they're actually being taken care of. But yeah, I guess it's gotta be that they're being used as, like, child soldiers in return for this. Friendly people. So friendly, in fact. It smells like bullshit. Oh, I love Erica so much. She's so good. Okay. So they weren't, like, sent in to do this. This was Erica's decision. She was like, yeah, we're gonna go do this. Oh, that is so... It's so chaotic. It's so Erica. It's the most, like... We're already in a situation that, could be good, could be bad. Let's see where it goes. And her decision is immediately like, I'm going to do the thing that makes the, makes this party rely on me. Like, I'm going to make myself indispensable. Because, yeah, like, even if it is, like, not a lie necessarily, but even if this is a situation where, like, they don't want him to come back, or it's a situation where, like, going in for him is extremely dangerous, like, they still need to give them backup support. They're still locked in this position of, like, well, these girls might just blow his cover if, if he's in there, like, in secret, or, like, if he's blending in or something. So they still gotta work with them on some level. Ah, I see. So these giant rats the size of dogs are, of course, Yoko and Erica, right? Boy, this is so dangerous. And yeah, this militia seems super, like, trigger-focused. Like, I really do like that, yeah, we've already seen them twice shooting for no real reason. And both times we've had a clear, like, reaction from everyone else of, what are you, crazy? Like, it is a clear, like, this isn't just normal in the city. They are, like, it is weird. And it does create this, like, sense of extra danger. Did Yoko also steal, or is it all Erica? I assume Yoko would be helping, but, like, I don't know if she has, like, the capacity to do that right now. Here's our girl from the cover. So, why the mask? She seems very airheaded and therefore very, very dangerous. Also, with the statement of it must be a fairy, I don't know if she literally means that she believes in magic and think it might be a magic fairy, or if she's just like a lolicon. Both are equally possible. Erica, you're making the bad girl face again. But oh boy. I mean, this is really a test of Erica's, evil, of the powers she has honed under Baron Muster. Can she, apropos of nothing, find a way to blackmail this girl? Again, I don't know if this is a I want to lick the real fairy, or if this is I want to lick a lolly. This might be the greatest danger they've ever been in. But okay, here completely goes their cover. Okay, no, so she is still hiding them. So this is still repairable. Is friendship with her, I mean, I guess you can't really deal with this any other way. Like, you gotta be her friend. Okay, Erica, what's your move here? Immediately going into it. Also, really cool that, like, she is mixing in some level of truth. Like, she's using her actual father's name, so if, someone asks about her father, she won't slip that part up. And then, of course, using this moment to then dunk on Yoko as well, by making her slightly, less important. Or I suppose, like, significantly less important. Like, she's saying she's a princess, and then saying, oh, by the way, Yoko's just a household fairy. It's fine. That's actually a fair comparison. I didn't think about that. But yeah, this is very Baron Muster. I suppose the difference is that, Muster's thing was the big, I have to be as evil as possible because of everything I went through. There's no way, like, the only reason that could have happened is that in the future, I'm going to be so unbelievably evil that it will justify that. Whereas this is way more of just a, like, this is way lower level. Okay, so I assume that's probably our Kaufman then. The shipment of V units. What is that? So she does already know who this is. Interesting. Who is that man? Like, my only guess would be, like, since we got this lead from someone who is a, like, professional hitman / assassin / like, bodyguard, like, I have to assume that that this storefront was a, like, a front for assassins. And so I would assume that he's also some level of assassin. But then that raises the question of, like, why is he waiting here? Is it because, like, he's waiting for her, perhaps, to then, like, kill her? Or did he legitimately get caught? I would assume not. I would assume, like, if he's going to be a big deal, then he's probably waiting here because he wants to be waiting here. Ooh, log 33. Big madam. Very relevant cut, actually. Oh, I wonder if this is some sort of, like, a big part of the series has been, like, lost treasures. And so, like, maybe that's also going to be this arc. Maybe there is, like, something vitally important on the Deja Taurus. I don't know what it would be, though, especially since, again, like, this place is being, like, torn apart and reconstructed. So, like, maybe there's, like, a safe or something on here. Or just, like, an area that most people would skim over because, like, you would assume that's hollow there. Or, like, it'd be entirely metal. Or it might be, like, a reactor core or something. Like, it might be a bit much to go into another treasure hunt. I could see it being some variant of that. If not a treasure hunt, then maybe something like their important plans here. Because, yeah, like, even then, like, it can't really be, like, information that is vital to the continued operation of Mars, right? Because, like, we kind of already hit that, like, very early on in the Muster thing with the sunlight rights, and, like, the redistribution of that, and, like, Muster, like, destroying the whole council. Like, it could be something else, but I can't imagine it. Especially since, again, like, I guess to be fair, this is also a clear, like, he's not leaving Mars and then going somewhere else, and then that's where it crashed. Like, this either has to fail right now before they even leave Mars, or it has to fail, like, on the return. Okay, so it did leave the atmosphere and then, like, explode and then fall back down. Also, this is early enough that it seems like they don't have the, what is that called again? Like, the covering that extends all the way across Mars in order to, like, maintain a habitable environment. I know in some shots it can be, like, transparent, but usually when we get a shot like this, there's at least, like, some patterning to show that it's there. Okay, it hasn't even been 50 years. Like, we're just almost there. Interesting. Ooh, I like this character design. Very, very strong look. Huh, does she have a stethoscope? Or is that, like... Yeah, I think it's a stethoscope. Like, the notching here looks really, really like that. I was gonna say, like, is this some sort of metal or something? But also, it's hanging way too low. I was the one who ate the bananas in the pantry. I licked all of the strawberry flavor toothpaste. I snacked all the potato chips. And it wasn't rats that ate through your secret stash of maple syrup. Okay, so she also knows that the two girls are here. Also, I actually don't know. I assumed with the bananas thing, I assumed she was just covering, what the girls did. But the licking all the strawberry flavored toothpaste, like licking it as opposed to using it, and then like everything else I could see, like maybe it's her, maybe it's the girls, but I assumed it was the girls. But in hindsight, it's like this might just be her. Oh, that's really cool. That's a really cool idea. Like it's so in keeping with the vibe of Alita. Like so much of the series, like whether it's cyborg stuff or it's just humans training really hard. Like there is this level of like post-humanism, but not in a like how do I put it? Post-humanism in a like trying so very hard and training really really hard until you are the best at this one specific thing. Or like, being the one exception that can then do this one unbelievably specific thing. This is honestly a lot lower key than, the series usually goes for. But I still, it's so cool. Okay, so they have a history together. But she didn't bring up the captive. If you want the coffin, he's right there. Are they working together? Oh, that's so cool. But why? Like, why execute him in this moment? Like, as she is walking down here? Like, for what purpose? Like, it's so unbelievably blatant. And like, what would the advantage be of him dying? But yeah, this reads to me like a big, like, obviously this is not the guy then. If this was the guy, then even if you shot him point blank, he'd be fine. Just piss off home. Oh! I just realized the clips in his hair and mostly, these things. Like, that's got some big Kunstler energy. Like, that's definitely, like, this 100%. But also, like, the hair clips are also what Alita was wearing when she was, like, a Kunstler, right? I'm hoping against hope that this is actually going to be a thing. The dynamics of this are so, like, I really appreciate how, like, all the relevant characters are so at peace with this. Like, without having any context, it feels like, everyone here, not that they understand what's going on. Like, there's still a lot of questions being asked. But it's clear, like, we've done this song and dance before. Or, like, even if I haven't met you, I know you by reputation. It's so comfy. It's so very different from the previous arc, which was so very, like, like, not Muster being this new force, but it was so revolutionary. It was so, like, he's finally moving after having built up all this power and this influence. And, like, trying for years and years and years to figure out how to actually go after the treasure, and now finally having the ability to do it. Why do you bring up the distant past? What's your point? Why is he here? And also, why now? Like, why 49 years after, it crashed? No, Knife Nagendra Nighthorse. That is one hell of a name. Ooh. Cool. Also just good to know that, like, yeah, the occupation is not a, like, they are, being occupied, and Big Madame is not, like, working with those people. Like, they are parasites. They are, like, apparently, like, everything we have seen of them makes it look like they are unbelievably incompetent. But, like, still dangerous enough that I can understand why they haven't been kicked out already. Our shoes ship out from the night labyrinth. You're a smart woman. You know what that means, don't you? Oh, it's so cloak and dagger. Also, they haven't been talking for that long, so this was a fast shower. Like, I feel like they must have just, like, dipped into the water and then come right back out. Also, it's really cool seeing Erica's scars. Like, we've seen Yoko without any clothing, a fair few times because she is a cyborg. Like, there's nothing to see there. But we've seen, like, Erica, like, not that often. And we know that she was, very heavily abused. So, yeah, it is kind of cool seeing, like, this stuff. Who is he? Like, I gotta assume he's either a Kunstler or, like, some sort of, like, proto-Kunstler. Like an assassin using their technology, but he doesn't actually know, like, Panzerkunst. Like, is it happening? Are we finally getting to Alita and Yoko learning how to do this? Cutting between, like, the past and the future is also very, very cool here. Like, I actually just brought up in the start, like, and this isn't exactly what I was talking about. It is really cool seeing this arc do that. It does give it this very, like, kinetic feeling of, like, we are making progress in both worlds at the same time. Like, it also helps keep the mystery from feeling, like, completely like this unknowable black box. It's not that I disliked that in the Baron Muster arc. In fact, like, it wasn't completely unknowable. Like, we still had stuff like, tales of the ancient past, and like that's been something through all of Mars Chronicle. Like the mystery of the founders, and like the ethnarchs being based after the various Jinn of Mars that helped the founders like terraform Mars. Like that in itself like hinted at the true stuff that was really there, but it was still very loose and very light and very like way more national treasury. Whereas this feels way more like tied to this specific crash. Oh shit! So like the captain of the ship presumably was her dad. Damn. You must live for the sake of your daughter. I entrust this to you. Someday the right person will make use of it. So this is our what was his name again? Nagendra Nighthorse. Yeah, because like NNN. So what happened to this then? Because like it doesn't sound like her dad survived, right? It's also a very interesting move, actually, that, like, the idea that they were, like, shot out, and that's how they were saved. Like, they didn't survive the crash in the ship. They were just, like, jettisoned out, and then presumably they made their way back to the ship and then, like, colonized it as their own. Or, like, I guess they were already in the ship, like, living there. So that it would be more of a, they continued to live in the hulk of the ship. This works really well for her, in that, like, in order to get the information, he's still gonna have to fight the soldiers regardless. Like, even if he was planning to, like, take the information and dip. And I wonder, again, like, I don't trust Erica as a whole, like, as a character. But I do trust her instincts. Like, she has very strong instincts. And so the fact that she, felt like she couldn't trust these people is really interesting. I mean, to be fair, part of that might have just been that she was able to tell, like, oh, this isn't really just a shoe store. And then the fact that, they didn't tell her immediately, this is not a shoe store, we're a front for, like, this, this group of assassins. Like, that may have been enough to, like, throw her off. But they could also be bad guys. Like, last volume, like, including the Daddy versus Guillotine fight, was a really good way of actually making me, not giving me a route as to, like, whether these people would be good or bad, quote-unquote. Because it's a very clear, like, as hitmen, they will serve whoever pays the money, and they will fight each other if, they get hired by different people. So it isn't even necessarily a, like, this faction is evil, as much as it might be, like, they might have just been told by someone else, hey, do this thing. Erica! What a horrible thing to say, little Kurt Russell. Erica truly is the final boss for anyone she ever meets. That'd be 4 pairs of soccer cleats. So that's gotta be weapons, right? But yeah, I would assume it would be, like, it's gotta be people, right? Like, I assume he's not gonna try and, like, storm the whole place himself. So I'm guessing this is, like, how many people, like, how many additional, like, hitmen do we have, like, ready to work with? And then he's, like, specifying exactly what they should have. I feel like his response is going to be, I mean, if you had met me there, then I would have told you to stay at the shop. Like, I assume what Das wanted. Also, I forgot his name, but I'm just bad at names in general. Like, I assume he didn't think that they were going to be sent on missions or anything. Like, now we've gotten a bit more of, like, the tone of the group. I do genuinely think they weren't lying about saying that they would have just let the girl stay there until he came back. Oh, Daddy rejected. So powerful. Aww, poor little Yoko. Erica is such a complicated character. In that, like, from this look on her face, like, she is comforting Yoko. I do genuinely believe she wants Yoko to feel comfort. But at the same time, like, again, she is the same person who, like, when, like, how do I put this? When she could, she did go to the woman who was saying, hey, I'm Yoko's mom, and she specifically went, Yoko, she's not your real mommy. You don't have a mommy. Like, I'm sure this is, in part disappointment on Yoko's behalf, but it's way more disappointment on her own behalf. I mean, also probably a little bit, like, on Das's behalf. Like, the fact that she was, begging him to stay behind and be, like, literally be her daddy. And he, sacrificed himself. And honestly, they do have this extremely dangerous power in that, like, we know Alita is, like, not just out of universe, but also in universe. Like, she is the main character. Like, she has this unbelievable, like, what was it called again in Last Order? Like, she has this enormous karmic potential around her. And so, just by virtue of Erica making decisions that will affect her, and just because she is along for the ride and she will trust, Erica and do stuff, that she says to do, like, because of that, like, Erica can do way more than I think she would be able to do if Yoko wasn't around. Like, just on a, God, this is the feeling I loved having whenever I read Alita. Like, there is this layer of, like, this is an out-of-universe thing, but also it completely fits with the rules of the universe itself. Like, by Erica being around with Yoko, like, she has main character energy. Also, because Erica wants to, like, work against him, that immediately also makes me think that the, like, if the shoe store has an alignment, it's probably good. Like, Erica is a disciple of evil. Disguises are just the first stage of lying. Oh, did Erica steal it? Did Erica hug him before? Or, like, did they have clear contact? Oh, yeah, it was right here, right? I mean, her hands are facing the opposite direction, but it's Erica. I'm sure this is when she did it. So direct. Because also, this was also way before she knew that she would have to betray him. This was just an outright, ideally, this person is going to take care of me, and yet I'm going to steal his ID card. Oh, that's such a cool look. What the heck? Is this her? What the hell? Or actually, no, I guess it is just this guy, like, punching super duper hard. Like, the pinging, god damn. Like, how do I put this? The action is not badly directed in the slightest. It was just so overwhelming that I didn't fully realize that, no, this is him being punched, and, like, ricocheting across, like, every single surface possible. God damn. Wait, where is Erica? I assumed this was, like, her and Yoko were just, like, where they were before. Did she walk into this hallway specifically to insult him? So fast. And she did give Yoko a lollipop, so I do want to trust her. Let's give everyone a tour of the workshop. Let's bring everyone here along, including these two little girls and this one girl who is just a janitor. Like, we're all coming in. What's gonna be in here? Oh boy. Huh, they're kids. To be fair, I guess this does explain why they just decided to have a bunch of random kids come in. The question is really, why is she also here? What? I assume this has to be some sort of, like, organ harvesting situation, right? This can't be anything good. Oh, right. The reason why she was here was because, like, something was, not at max capacity. Or, like, was running under schedule. So, cool. Really tying it all together, actually. It's just a little tinkering in your head. When the surgery's over, you won't remember a thing. So, okay, actually, are these the Necro Soldiers? I mean, I guess not, actually. That would defeat the purpose, right? Like, the whole point of a Necro Soldier is they're dead. Like, why would you need young kids in order to do that? So it can't be that. It's just gotta be one of the other thousands of awful, awful things that can happen to a child if you exist in this world. Log 35, Spake the Minstrels. She's got some age lines on her face this time around. I wonder if this is a little hint that, she's actually way older than we think she is. Or I guess it could also just be that she's, like, really tired. What is he supposed to reveal? It's really wild. Yeah, like, Erica is the main character of this art, or, like, I would say of the flashbacks of Mars Chronicle. Like, she is the person who has agency. Like, she is the one doing things. And when we have, like, split up her and Yoko, like, it's been Erica that's been, like, the one doing stuff. It's been Erica who is, like, the one we get, like, interiority on. Like, like, I think the biggest one is when Yoko left with her mom, or mom, quote unquote. And, like, we saw a tiny bit of that, and then we almost exclusively followed Erica until she went back for Yoko. And yet, it is still, like, it's the power of having a villain protagonist, I suppose. That in this moment, I don't want her to die, especially because she's a kid, but also, I can't help but think, like, yeah, this is her fault. She did put herself into the situation. She did betray him for no real reason. Or rather, not even for a self-serving reason, just for a pure vitriolic reason. What absolute terror. At that moment, Uni felt time move so slowly, it might as well have stopped. And this isn't the first time. Okay. This has to be the moment from, like, not the cover, but the page right after that, where, like, she's got both of them on a pole and she's, like, going through the city with them. I assumed it was going to be way more slice of lifey than this situation, but goddamn. Also, I do want to, like, I don't want to skim by the, like, fairy, lend me your strength again. I wonder if she's also, like, the product of experimentation of some sort then. Like, if this is some sort of, like, battle mode she enters, that she's, like, misinterpreted as being magic or being, like, a fairy thing. Damn, she's so good. And to be fair, like, her use of the, like, of her mop as a, like, staff, like, as a physical weapon, does also, like, bring to mind what we've already seen in this volume of her, like, using it on the zipline and stuff. Like, she has moves. And that could be, apropos of nothing, I am definitely thinking that she's some sort of, like, sleeper agent. Shish bombing the kids and the guns and then sliding down this thing is, it's such a strong visual. I love how asymmetrical it is. I kick ass when the fairy's controlling me. How does this work? Because I was also assuming that this was, just a, like a momentary out-of-body experience of like, oh, it feels like I'm seeing the world from above. But this might be an actual thing that happens. I mean, we know that, like, also, like, spirits and souls and stuff are real, so maybe her soul did pop out of her body. Maybe she is just a ghost right now. Okay, what's this reveal gonna be? Okay, so he is, in fact, a Künstler, wielder of the legendary Grunthal martial arts. I know I was gonna say, like, maybe he's going to be the one who trains both of them, but I'm pretty sure, like, the guy with the bombs was, Erika and Yoko's squad leader, right? I'm pretty sure that was the case. I mean, like, to be fair, that might, this guy might still be above that guy. But I think I remember that being the case in, Last Order. I mean, there's also the possibility that he will degrade into being a gross, tricky bomb man. But I highly doubt it. Like, part of being a cyborg is that, like, I assume if we were to see him, like, in the training days, or even if we were to see him, like, on Mars in the present, like, if he somehow managed to also survive, he would probably also look like this. Or he might look a little more inhuman. But, like, I doubt he would completely remodel himself to look like creepy, ugly, tricky bomb man. Spake the minstrels, only death awaits those who witness the Künstler's skills. This is why the true nature of Panzerkunst is a mystery. That also is definite foreshadowing these guys are all gonna die. I mean, it's foreshadowing that, like, I assume most of the people, like, if this is in fact how Yoko and Alita get into Panzerkunst, which is also, like, I'm assuming that's the case, but that could also not be true. This could be a big zigzag of, they could have met here, but then Alita and Yoko, Yoko and Erika go off and, like, do more shenanigans for a couple volumes until they happen to meet a different Künstler. That's also very much possible. But, like, if we see any Panzerkunst stuff, it's gotta be with people who they absolutely annihilate, or people who they will eventually annihilate. Because, like, it's still a mystery in the present. Also, I can't look at this man and not think of Polnareff. Like, I assume actually he's probably supposed to be closer to, who was the Nazi from part 2 of JoJo's? Like, von Stroheim. I assume he's supposed to be, like, hitting that more, but, like, the shape of his head is very, very Polnareff. Just taking him apart. And honestly, this feels so fresh, since this hasn't really been, like, the MO of anyone else in Mars Chronicle up to this point. Like, not just Panzerkunst, but, like, martial arts in general. Like, Mars Chronicle has been very good about being mostly, like, there's been some martial arts, but it's been more, at the very least, like, using weapons, if not even just using guns. Like, it feels way more dangerous. The vibe of the series is not a martial arts series at all. And so this is also, I mean, it's also very surprising now. Like, in the time of the other, the other two series, like, Panzerkunst has a very, like, Star Wars, the Force vibe. It feels very much like, it's this relic of an ancient time. And it's really only in the Zots where, like, you have a bunch of other crazy martial artists that starts to feel more like, more like something that feels relevant. Like, because it's in this very specific martial arts area. And then we also have, like Zek's, innovating on it and creating his own style. But, like, for the rest of the times we have seen people, like, talk about Panzerkunst, it's been very much just, like, this extremely ancient phenomenon. And so it is actually really cool seeing it here and realizing that, oh yeah, even this far into the past, it still felt ancient. Like, it was far in the past, but also it was still the days of armies and guns and, big bombs and whatnot, and, like, nanotechnology even, to some extent. Like, it still is very visceral and different to see someone just, like, smash someone's body apart by the joints. Oh, that is gnarly. Oh, that's so cool. Like, spending the gunpowder in order to, like, amp up the speed of his punches. War comes down to firepower. Oh, Very powerful nipple energy here. And I guess this is the absolute like confrontation of martial arts versus lots of gun. Ah, yeah. The Stroheim energy is super high now. He's even got a crotch gun. Ah, so clean. God, that was so cool. Ooh, the terrors. We gotta, if this is not the last volume, or like the last chapter, then like we're not too far away from the end. Oh, that's so cute. That is unbearably cute. It is. Oh, it's so cool seeing the shot, like, in context now. Definitely not the context I was expecting. Like, from the cover and this page, I was really, really expecting it to be way more of a, I might have been able to actually guess, or, I mean, I didn't, but it's possible I could have guessed, like, the initial start of Erica and Yoko, like, just, like, living and being a nuisance and, like, playing pranks. But, like, I would have then assumed it would be a big, like, Tom and Jerry situation with her being Tom. I was not expecting to go so deep into the combat. Is she just a ghost? Because, yeah, like, the fact that also, like, she could be so, like, far away from her body. And, yeah, it doesn't seem like she's, like, passing on to the afterlife or anything. She is just, like, she's just sort of hanging out. Can she assume direct control? I mean, she shouldn't in this case. I would definitely trust the fairy more than I would trust her right now. Ah, these people are the scum of the earth. Hype, hype, hype. Like, yeah, he's just the bottom of the barrel. God, that's so cool. Because also, like, this is, like, for this being the reintroduction of Panzerkunst, like, chronologically, in terms of, like, how we're supposed to perceive this. Like, putting Volume 2 out of mind. This is actually a really cool parallel to, like, the first few volumes of the series, where, like, we see Alita using Panzerkunst for the very first time. And, like, tapping into it, but in a very, like, it is just muscle memory. She doesn't understand it. So she doesn't have any actual understanding of what it is besides this is the way her body moves. Despite that, she is still unbelievably powerful and, like, unbelievably effective. And so getting it from someone who is, like, directly saying, like, I'm hoping he's not lying. I hope he's not, like, secretly a professor or something. I do really like the idea of this being just, like, the bare bones, like, if you get trained in Panzerkunst and you can, like, use the moves effectively, then you are this effective. Especially since, like, as we know from Last Order, a big part of it is also, like, psychology. It is understanding how people fight. Like, dodging all those bullets would have been a lot harder if, A, they weren't all mounted in one area, so it is fundamentally just, stay out of that zone. And B, if he was fighting someone who would have, like, turned his body upwards, or who would have, like, spun around, someone who would have, like, shot in more than one direction. Like, that's a very easy, well, this guy assumes that he's going to annihilate me, or that, he can just aim at this body, and so he's not going to expect me to jump into the air. So, is she just giving up? Is she betraying him? Oh, the way his face implodes is so gross. Okay, so she's just gonna do a big skedaddle. I can't stop looking at the memory unit, like, with the brain on either side of it. Oh, it's so visceral. What does zonohedron mean? I mean, I guess it's gotta be the, like, design on her hats, right? What in the world? Now, she's screaming everyone down on the ground because, like, the soldiers are gonna start firing? Or is this a, like, we think, like, she knows that Uni's gonna do something crazy? Oh, that's so cool! That is an insane shot. Holy crap. Is she a Künstler, actually? Like, how do I put this? If this is supposed to be a parallel to, like, early Alita, then could she, be a Künstler who has lost her memories, and now she's doing this, like, not on instinct necessarily, but it is this layer of, like, she can turn off, or, like, she can allow her body to, like, work off of muscle memory, and so her, like, spirit is ejected. I mean, it's also possible that her, like being out of her body, it could also be some sort of, like, technology focused thing. It could be some sort of, like, I have a, something in my body that allows me to, like, map out the area and then view it as if I were, like, floating from above it, that she's misinterpreting as, like, an out-of-body experience. But it is Alita, so it would be a lot cleaner to just say she shot her soul out of her body. The only thing is that Uni doesn't really have any, like, mechanical parts to her, so I would highly doubt that she's a cyborg. Like, there's no tell at all in her body. So I can't I mean, it's possible she's modified, but, like, I don't have a lot of faith in that reading. God, she is so cool. This is such an insanely cool idea. Like, the thing that's also killing me is that this is not a fighting style. Like, this is just improvised, and it's so cool. Like, again, this is the kind of series where I could definitely see someone's whole gimmick being, I take a stick and I put a gun on it, and that's my martial arts. People have been doing this for 500 years. But the fact that she's just doing this, like, or that, whatever's using her body right now is doing it is so cool. Like, it has that layer of, like, I can't imagine this is just some sort of, like, automatic kill protocol. It's way too innovative. She's possessed by a dust devil. Has that come up before? Or am I just thinking of the Jinn? Whew. God damn. I mean, how's she getting out of this one? It seems like she is completely spent. I feel like girls just have to run in and, like, beg for her life. Like, how do you stop these soldiers who are already, like, who will just shoot at people for fun? How do you stop them from executing her right now? What? What was this move? Like, I've got the flow of she kicks, like, this eyeball up into his face and then shoots the eyeball? But why? What in the world? Oh, that's so sick. Oh, I'm a sucker for, like, insect robots. This is such a good aesthetic. Holy moly. Whew. Yeah, how do you adapt in the moments against this? I mean, I guess you just have to assume that she doesn't have joints. Or, like, if she has joints that they can, like, swivel, and therefore you shouldn't try to, like, snap them. Ooh, is that a grenade? Okay, no, I see. God damn. So he is, like, old, but, like, his body looks young. That does increase the possibility that he is some sort of a secret master in disguise. Ooh, and what are these shoes? Again, I guess they would have to be Kunstler's, right? Like, being airdropped in? The setting of Alita is really the kind of situation where I would be so much more scared of something like this than a bomb that I think is going to explode. Because if it's going to explode, I mean, and to be fair, that is also, like, a very minority opinion. Like, 99% of the people in this world who see something like this would, it would be a bomb. You would just die. It is the tiny, tiny minority of people who would have this open up and it's like a crazy cyborg, or it's a Kunstler, or it's, a vampire. So here are generic soldiers. I mean, I say generic, but, like, these two, it's hard to really differentiate them. But this person's already, like, got a bigger look to them. So they're probably going to have names and stuff. We're probably going to learn more about them. I don't know. One of these guys might die. It's tough to call that kind of thing in a Yukito Kishiro manga, though. Like, there's so many unique designs in, like, Last Order especially, where they do just get immediately foddered. So I guess I can't say that. It's equally possible that any of these people will live or die. But the fact that, yeah, like, that the shoe store is connected to the Kunstlers and presumably to Grunthal, like, this has to then be, like, next volume has to be when Alita and Yoko, like, I keep on saying Alita and Yoko and I mean Yoko and Erika. Like, it has to be when Yoko and Erika get inducted, and, like, I don't think they would be trained as kids like this. I think we're going to have aspects of the muster arc where, like, they come on, but they are being trained, I mean, a little bit as child soldiers, but also maybe just as, like, helping out around the place. And, like, they have to be trained on how to fight. Though, I don't know. Considering how the series works, I could definitely see it being that, like, their brains, their kid brains are just put into adult bodies. And they are just, like, trained in order to use adult bodies, like, from the start. Because that is a big thing with, like, training kids in real life of, like, I know this mostly for gymnasts, that, like, if you are a kid being trained as a gymnast, and then you really don't want to hit puberty, because as soon as you hit puberty, or as long as, the hormones start taking effect, then your body starts changing, and then your life's experience on how to use your existing proportions gets thrown out of the window. And, like, even as a kid, like, because your proportions are naturally changing because you are growing up, it will, like, mess up your, the way in which you learn exactly how to do something precisely, Plus, I think that would actually be a really cool, like, parallel to, how do I put this? Like, an inversion of the rest of the series. If we have Alita and Yoko in their, like, in the same, with the same looks that they have, like, right now in the present, more or less. Like, they're still recognizable, but they are, like, kids inside. Because that would be a really cool, like, realizing that they are child soldiers, but they look like adults. and then much later on realizing that they are ancient. They are some of like the oldest beings in the universe now, and yet they are also like, they look exactly the same. I can see that happening. Ah, okay. So she said Warashi, which I am intimately familiar with. See, if I'd known that, I would have had less lolicon vibes from her. But at the same time, like, she does immediately start licking Erica and Yoko, so maybe she is a lolicon. She is so fascinating to me. Like, she also has so much protagonist energy in terms of, like, how carefree she is, how ditzy she is, and yet how unbelievably, like, not how skilled she is, but the fact that there is a part of her that has this extreme skill. Like, I'm definitely gonna, like, yeah, I'm definitely on the boat that she is some sort of weapon or some sort of, like, weapon is the best way to put it. Like, some sort of, like, warrior or weapon that has been given this, like, autonomous way to fight. And she just interprets it as, like, this fairy that takes over her body. Or other people, like, see it as a dust devil. For this, like, whatever this new arc is. Because also, like, I think I overshot it by saying that next volume would be when they get brought in. I feel like we have at least a volume or two more just, like, on this ship. Like, as we learn what is going on and, like, the secret reason why it was, like, taken down. Like, yeah, we're probably going to be here for, like, a volume at least. And then after that, like, this has to be the pipeline into Panzerkunst, right? Like, at this point, there's no way that Kishiro is going to do the big zigzag out of it and then coming back into it, right? Because, like, as much as I'm bringing that up as a thing, like, it hasn't been that long in the series. Like, there aren't that many volumes total of the series. And, like, first volume, makes sense, and it's so intimately tied into second volume where we're getting the, like, present day, like, reaction to what happens. And then everything since has basically just been a single arc that was very important, that gave us so much information about Yoko, that gave us so much more, like, characterization about Erica, and, like, her dad and all that. Like, the way I've been phrasing it in this reaction makes it sound like we've been doing a lot of dilly-dallying, but no, the series has been very, very lean and very, very straightforward, especially, compared to something like Last Order, where we did have, like, straight up, like, volumes and volumes of, like, vampire battles. That overall, like, the end result of that was important, but, like, all the vampire politics weren't that important overall. Like, in comparison, like, Mars Chronicle has been very lean. And I do like all of that stuff in Last Order anyways. I just wanted to, like, iron that out in case anyone thinks I'm being overly negative. Yeah, that is... Oh boy, I forgot how many ads there were at the end of these. But yeah, that's Battle Angel Alita, Mars Chronicle, Volume 7. Fantastic. My gosh. Every time I get to read more Alita, I am just constantly blown away. It's so good. Honestly, I'm kind of just disappointed that we didn't get more of this. Like, them actually playing pranks as opposed to, just, like, taking stuff to survive. Because, like, the vibe of this situation, especially now, like, knowing what she's like, is super duper cute. And the girls get so little time to be, like, innocent and cute. And I mean, like, not like Erica's ever innocent. Like, this is not the face of innocence. But you know what I mean. Alright, I feel like I'm missing stuff, but I don't think I am. If there's anything that I totally skimmed over or didn't say, or if there's anything you want to ask me now that I'm caught up, please do leave it in the comments below, or go to my Discord server, also, like, in the description below. Go to the Battle Angel Alita, not thread, channel, and ask me anything, or just talk about it. Like, there's people on there that are, fans of the series. And I lost a lot of Alita fans when my last channel got deleted, but, like, there's some people around. You can still have some talks and discussion and whatnot, especially as we wait for the, as we sit around and cross our fingers and pray for the second movie to happen. We'll see. I still have hope. But until then, whenever the next volume comes out, I'll be right on it. Or I'll be on it after a month of keeping it out so I don't take away any potential, views or whatnot. Whatever. Bye for now. Yeah.